You are now listening to CTR Media Network.
The family, CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show. CTR Media Network.
Welcome to CTR Media Network TV. Today's guest is here to flip the script on burnout and take us from overworked to overflowing with clarity, confidence, and compensation. She's a powerhouse executive turned radical reset expert, the founder of Fix Coaching and Consulting, and the author of transformative book, From Burnout to Bad Boo. You know I ain't gonna say that word right now. With 25 years of leadership experience and a legacy of guiding women and organizations to sustainable success, she's redefining what real self-care leadership and legacy building looks like. CTR Media Network family, I want you to get ready to reset your mind, reclaim your energy, and step into your positioned to paid era. Let's welcome to the show, Dana Cox. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you and the CTR family.
Yes, I am so excited because as entrepreneurs or content creators, especially women, we juggle many roles, many hats. And you are speaking to my heart when you're speaking about this overworked, underpaid, unseen, and how to flip that and stop wearing it as a badge of honor, because we have been conditioned to think that, oh, it's a good thing to be spread too thin. But you, Dana, your story is so compelling because you are a woman who juggles a high-powered corporate career. You have 6 children. Yes, I said 6. I know she don't look like it, but she got 6 kids, a 33-year-old marriage. And my question to you is, what was the moment that made you say, I can't do this like this anymore?
Ooh, well, when I hear you say all the things that I've juggled, I just kind of go, ooh, that was me. That was me. I would absolutely. So there's been many different pivotal points, I would have to say, Dr. Tina, but the one that really stands out the most is, catching my own reflection in my kitchen window early one morning when the house was really quiet and things of that nature, and not recognizing the woman staring back at me. And that was when I was at my heaviest. I was like 287 pounds at the time. And, back hurt, knees hurt, a lot of stuff hurt. But on the outside, right, from a professional perspective, it was popping, right? It looked good and all of those things. And, the kids got where they needed to get to and everything was getting done. But I was sacrificing myself. I put a lot of myself on the back burner because I was shouldering a lot of responsibility, playing all the roles that you mentioned, right? And prioritizing those things where I wasn't prioritizing myself, my sleep, my peace of mind. And, the body definitely keeps score of the things that you are not paying attention to. So that was the moment.
That was pitiful. I mean, like when I think about it, was very seeing your own self-reflection. Mm-hmm. And you did not recognize who that woman was. Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned, it reminds me of a mask. from the outside looking in, everything, all those little things that us personalities, those checklists. Oh, check, children are okay. Check, marriage is okay. Check, I have a great job. Check, I make six figures. I'm in corporate America. Check, I have the house. I have the family. I have the biz. All the checks that we feel like we should have in order to have what people say, quote unquote, to be successful. And then you look at yourself vicariously in the reflection of the window and say, this is not what I envisioned for myself. Who am I? How did I get here? And most importantly, how do I change it? So my question to you is, we have all these myths. Do you think women still believe about this thing called success and balance? And what is it that's just holding us back as women from just thriving? Because we put too much on ourselves.
We do. We carry a lot of weight, right? And it's the roles, right? And I think a lot of it is rules, right? And I use the term, I'm going to use air quotes, right? Rules, right? We've been conditioned there. Some of these have been spoken over us, to us, and we've been told that we need to show up in a certain way. And we've used that as our roadmap, right? You mentioned what success, quote unquote, looks like based upon someone else's definition of what it looks like. We haven't been able to define it for ourselves. Somebody else has given us the definition. They filled in the blank for us. And so I do think that a lot of times we're beholden to what has been given us, what's been passed down to us, as if changing it would be different or would be wrong. I think about the story. There's a story about a young lady who was baking a ham, right? And in baking this ham, she cut the end off the ham because that's what she saw her mother do. Her mother always cut the end off the ham. And she asked her mom, why do you cut the end off the ham? Her mom said, well, that's because that's what my mom has always done. So passed down generation to generation, unspoken. It's an observed behavior that now we've taken on because that's what my mom did. So that's what I know I'm supposed to do, right? Well, then when she asked her grandmother why she cut the end off the ham, she said, because my pan was too small.
Wow. Okay. So when I'm thinking about everything that you just said, and I feel I have never heard it illustrated like that about success. And you're right. From based upon how you was raised, what environment, what experiences that you have, your culture, your upbringing will determine how you deem success will be by the experiences and what you see. And that is not necessarily the best thing to do, because what is successful for one person can be something totally different. But we have been conditioned to feel and to think, if we don't do it the way that they did it, then I am not successful.
And think about it, like we as women have this conversation to have kids or not have kids, right? Right? So some people think that, well, your life is unfulfilled if you don't have children. Says who?
Exactly.
That's who. There's no rule that says that you have to have children in order to have a fulfilling life, or to feel like you've now contributed something great and fantastic to the world. But there's this debate that we as women tend to have. And there's the answer for you is the answer for you. And that's the right answer. There's no wrong answer as to whether or not you should have children. The right answer is the choice is yours.
That is remarkable, because, this is an age-old discussion about what is feminine, what is a woman, what characterized as a good mate, what characterized as all of these little brackets that we're conditioned to feel, because based upon your era that you grow up in, will more than likely shape the way you feel about certain things. Now, this Generation X and all of them, they're like, I don't need a kid. They fine with that. But my generation, your generation, if you didn't get married at a certain point, you didn't have X amount of kids at a certain age, what's happening to you? You're going to be an old maid. You're not going to have no kids. What's wrong with you? Why don't you want to have to? Oh, you're going to do a career? What's wrong with you being a housewife? Like, it was just like so conditioned that we hear it, we lived it, we saw it on television. And it was just like, if you didn't follow the mold, you felt like you missed something.
You missed something. And the reality is we miss something by not really getting clear on what it is that's aligned within us, what looks right for us. And oftentimes we want other people to co-sign on what we've decided for ourselves, right? As if it's not valid and it's not valuable without someone else saying, yeah, girl, do that. That's the right thing to do. Sometimes it's just you and God, 10 toes down. And that has to be enough, because when no one else is rallied around you, the why and the belief in it within you has to be enough to propel you forward.
That's true. That is absolutely true. And when we're thinking about this burnout, this leadership, and in essence, what we're doing this truth telling on this episode today. Ladies, we have to drop all of this unrealistic expectations. So you say burnout isn't a badge of honor, which we have been conditioned to burn the candle at both ends and be proud that, oh girl, I'm burning the midnight oil. I'm working late tonight. That's how we do it to be successful. But yet so many ambitious women still wear it like, if you're not doing this, then you're not successful, or you're not working hard enough. That's why you haven't achieved your goals. So what is the real cost of staying in the survival mode for so long?
You know, there are different stages to burnout, right? There are a lot of different stages, but you know, your relationships pay a tax. And when I say relationships, I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about your friendships, your relationships with your children, with your family, and things of that nature. There's a cost associated with that, right? Of course, your health pays a price for that as well. And, you know, I call it the success tax, right? These are the hidden taxes that we pay when we don't really prioritize the things that really matter the most to us, that we're chasing after something. There's a cost associated with every decision you make. There's a cost to do the thing. There's a cost not to do the thing. Only you are the one who can determine if the cost is too high for you. But oftentimes we stay so busy that we don't slow down enough to even assess the situation, because Lord forbid we slow down. Lord forbid we slow down and we come face to face with ourselves. We don't necessarily want to do that piece.
That's true.
Because that's where the truth, you know, we get stuck with sitting with our own thoughts and our own selves. So we be like, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to dig this up. I would rather be busy in someone else's business than have to sit and assess my own business and really get clear on what it is I want, or how happy I am or am not, right? One of the things I asked, and I shared, I should say, with some of the ladies, is I could tell you with my children, I knew everybody's schedule, right? I knew where everybody was supposed to be, the soccer matches and the cleats and the this and the that. I knew everything, and I could schedule plan a party, deal with a crisis at work, get all my kids where they were supposed to be, and pack the lunches all by 10 o'clock in stilettos. Okay. However, that, you know, I was playing all the roles, right? But in playing all of those roles, when I strip it back, if someone asked me what lit me up, what brought me joy, what made me excited in my life, I couldn't answer that question. And that is the joy. What brings you joy and what lights you up needs to be separate and independent of your family, your friends, your paycheck, your job, your to-do list. What is the thing? Because if we take the time to assess that, many of us have to be honest with ourselves that we stopped doing that thing a long time ago.
That
For me, it's salsa dancing. I love Latin dancing. But at that point in time, when I came face to face with myself, I couldn't remember the last time I had gone Latin dancing.
Wow. And I'm just thinking about all the women and even possibly men too that's watching right now that now have what you saying, the realization hitting them right in the face. And I'm not going to leave myself out because what you're speaking about, I personally experienced. I had that, I would say that in or out of body experience. But the sad thing is it took a very bad health condition that made me stop to see, because I couldn't do anything else because, hey, now I'm sick, I'm in the hospital. And I had to think about, how did I get here? What happened? And then once I started getting back on my feet, I reached out for a job, another job, like to work, do media and stuff for another company. And I went through all the interviews and just passed every interview. And you know how they push you up. Once you pass one, you go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. And literally, this was the last phase of the interview. And literally, this question stumped me when they asked me this question, because I had all the answers until they got this question. They said, what is it that brings you joy? I'm like, because
like,
we see,
know that. Like, why do you want to know that?
Yeah. And I'm like, they was like, your resume is very impressive. Everything that you do, like we check your references. Everybody has glowing recommendations, your education, everything. But what brings you joy? And I start rattling off, this brings me joy, that brings me joy. I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. They said everything that you mentioned is attached to somebody else or an organization or a cause that you feel passionate about. But what is it that you detach from the organizations, your family, your husband, your kids, a passion project, your entrepreneurship? What is it that you feel joy about? Don't you know, I could not answer that question. I mean, literally, they was like, okay, and they was like, I want you to come, we're going to reconvene in 48 hours. We want to hear what you have to say. We're going to let you think about it. I kid you not, I realized in that moment that I lived my life for everything and everyone else but myself. And I don't know when I lost Tina, dropping all the titles, the doctor, all the letters and all that. I don't know when I had lost Tina. And that's when I went on a journey to find myself, to figure out what was that disconnect with myself, because clearly I'm connected with everybody and everything else, but I lost myself, in the process of doing good works, right? And so, but I'm going to be honest with you, Dana. It took me 3 years on a self journey, learning to love myself, taking myself on a date. How about that?
Come on.
Myself. All right. And so when you say this, it takes me back to that time when I realized that I lost me in the midst of doing all the things. They were happy, but sad to say, I wasn't. Yeah. And I didn't even realize it happened until that interview. And so, needless to say, I didn't get that job.
But you know what, Dr. Tina, you got something so much more poignant in that moment, right? You got brought face to face with the fact that you had lost yourself. What a gift. What a gift. It allowed you to go on that journey to finding yourself, to reconnect with yourself. What a gift.
It is. And ever since I've been able to reconnect, life is different. I mean, it's more purpose driven. I'm more confident, and I am like, no, that don't work for me. I don't like that. You know, and I'm very vocal on certain things that I do like, certain things that I don't like, what I will do, what I won't do, and I will not jeopardize my peace, my joy, my happiness for no gig, no whatever, because I'm finally in love with me, and I never loved myself like I thought I did. You know, we all feel like we do, but in actuality, do you? Are you taking care of your body? Are you doing the things that you? And so it was hard though. I cried a lot. I went through a lot of anger. I couldn't believe I got myself to that point. But when you say all of this, you guys, when she say this, it hit me because it took me back to when I was the exact same thing that she described. But it took me longer than the average person to get to where I am now.
Each of our journeys is different, right? The point to get there, right? Some of us, it might be 3 weeks, it might be 3 days, it might be 3 years, it might be 10 years, right? But everybody's journey is different. The thing is, give yourself permission to go on the journey, right? Give yourself permission to go on the journey. The thing is, joy is not, it's not a reward. It's not a luxury. It is truly something that you have a responsibility to experience. You have a responsibility to experience joy in your life on a daily basis. On a daily basis. So get clear on what that is. Joy is personal. Joy is portable, but joy is absolutely your responsibility to have.
Yeah. And if you don't have it, you need to figure out how you can achieve it, because once you reach that point, and having joy does not mean you're not going to ever have any problems or situation that arise. It just means that you understand what it takes to bring yourself back to your happy place more quicker, without less bruises. Okay. Because life is going to do life things, but you have the tool now, you have the awareness to be able to move forward. And I didn't have that before, but I had it for everybody else. I knew how to bring a smile and joy for everybody else around me, make them feel fulfilled and whole. And I'm over here not whole and feeling like I didn't even know what I got to the point. I didn't even know what I liked. My husband's like, you know, you never buy yourself anything. You do everything for everybody else, donating. You do everything for the kids, for myself, for your parents, and everybody. What is it that you want? I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know. Wait, what you like? What you want to go? I don't know. Like, what movie you want to go see?
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? And you know, you mentioned being there for everybody, right? The ride or die, you always show up, you the dependable one. You got real broad shoulders, and I'm not talking about shoulder pads, right? Because you holding up the world. You're holding up the world. But as the strong friend, right? The strong person in your family, the dependable person in your family, when you in need, who do you go to?
Child, the only one I have is my Heavenly Father. You know, which is the best one, but I'm talking about having a person. I had to learn to reevaluate my close circle, the top 5 people that's around me, and made sure that I had someone that can uplift me in that friend group. I am not the only one that is carrying the whole group, the one that everyone calls when it's a problem, the one that everybody needs me to pour into. I made sure that in this reevaluation of the top 5 people that's closest to me, that I made sure that I delegate my winning team. Someone that can help me spiritually, physical, emotional, business-wise, personal-wise, and not no yes people. People who are going to tell you yes just because I don't want to hurt your feelings. If I need a no, if I need some redirection, let me know. And so, but it was hard to change. It was hard to do that and make that executive decision in my life. But I tell you what, it has been one of the best things that I have ever did. And so when I think about this experience that we're talking about, burnout can, like you said, mean different things to different people, especially women in leadership. And right now, I want to talk particularly because we are women of color. I have noticed, and not saying that other race and ethnicities don't feel this or don't go through this, but I have noticed that it's a different nuance when you have women of color in leadership roles, especially in corporate America or in places where we're not usually there, and we get there, how do they handle that high level of stress without all this losing of oneself and everything like that? Because you're trying to stay in that position that you know it was very hard to get to.
Yeah. So one thing I think is really important is we just need to acknowledge that the system that we're a part of wasn't built for us. And oftentimes we tend to think that because we are now being invited through the door, have a seat at the table, that somehow the rules of engagement have changed and that they should be accommodating. They're not going to make it easy. And nor should you expect them to. And oftentimes we expect them to, and then we upset that they don't.
Yes. You are so right.
But I also think it's important that we all, like, I was asked this question about how did you learn how to navigate, the corporate environment? Nobody teaches us that, right? We go in and we do the best we can with what we know. And then, they say, bring your whole self, and then we mess around and do that. And then we shock and surprise that they really didn't mean that. No, girl, do not bring your whole self.
Exactly.
They're not ready for all of that.
No, not the fullness.
Not the fullness, especially if you have not done the work on you to get clear about who you really are, because you might mess around and be shocked around who you meet too.
That's true. That is so true. So ladies, you can navigate it, but you're going to have to really do self-healing, self-evaluation, self-care. And it's not something like once you get to the point where you have this awareness and recognition of it, it's something that you're going to have to consistently work on. It's not something that you reach a point and then, oh, that's it. No, it's a daily thing that you have to remind yourself. You have to put in the work. You have to put in as much work as you put for your corporate job, for your business, that you have to put in the same amount of time and effort into yourself. And don't get so caught up in what you love to do that you forget to love yourself in the process, or you're not giving yourself grace to be able to take a break. Feeling afraid that you need to take a break. You don't need to take a break, sis. Take a break.
But you meant it. So it's interesting you say that, Dr. Tina, because I think that we offer grace to everyone around us. We are so easy to give grace to everyone else, but we don't give ourselves the same level of grace. We don't give ourselves a pass. We are very critical of ourselves for wanting to rest, for wanting to be joyful.
Yes.
For wanting something different. How dare I want something different? But if your friend wanted something different, you're like, yeah, girl, you can have that. Right? I got you. Like, we have to be able to give ourselves the same level of grace. When and this is daily work, right? When I look at myself in the mirror, I don't be like, oh, I'm all that in a bag of chips. I get there. But if we're really honest, unconsciously, we're critical of ourselves. My neck is drooping. The lines in my forehead. Ooh, these bags under my eyes. I'm carrying a little extra around the middle or in my hips. We pick ourselves apart.
We do.
Instead of loving on ourselves. You talked about loving yourself. Turn those things, those unconscious things, into loving things that you would say to yourself, right? How can I reframe these lines in my forehead? You know what? Those are lines of wisdom. I've been some places. I know some things.
That's it.
But when those negative things creep up, turn that into a loving phrase, a life-affirming phrase. How can you flip the script on how you speak to yourself? Because how you speak to yourself sets the tone for how you engage with other people. What you allow other people to do and say to you. We don't think it does, but it really does. We set the tone for how people experience. We set the energy in every room that we enter, whether it's physical or virtual. We set the tone. People are a mirror unto ourselves. So if Bob is giving you stank energy, it might be because Bob is picking up on the energy emitting from you.
Self-reflection. Woo.
Reflection.
You know, you have to give what you want to receive. And even if at that moment you do not feel like being joyful, happy, whatever, jovial, whatever, however you want to put it, you still need to present what you want to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And energy meets energy, like you said. So right now, I want to speak to all women.
Okay.
Whether you are, it don't matter what color you are, it don't matter what age bracket you are. Let's talk about this age-old problem, despite all the advances that we have had in society, in jobs, and also the leverage that women, well, I'm not going to say leverage, but the advancement women have been having in getting in multiple different industries, corporate America, or as an entrepreneur, because the numbers speak for themselves. Mm-hmm. But yet, we are still battling this situation of connection between being underpaid and overworked. So why do you say there's always a money story behind with this burnout that we experience?
So here's two things, right? One, we're performing, right? We're performing to the rules that we've been conditioned with. Keep your head down, do a good job, work hard. They will eventually notice you. Lies. They are not going to eventually notice you, right? You have stop being the best kept secret around. How do you speak about your accomplishments? Get clear on who needs to know you. You have to market yourself and your skill and your ability. Do not be sitting there. If you're in corporate, do not expect your boss to be doing that. That is not his or her job. You are the CEO of your own career. Get in the driver's seat. Take the keys back. But also, you have to understand what your market value is. And don't be afraid to ask for it. Many of us won't even negotiate. We just take the first thing offered. Mm-hmm. But we haven't done the research to understand what our market rate is. All the years of experience, all the education, what is your number? And then practice saying it to yourself in the mirror, because if you can't say it to yourself with your chest, you're not going to ask nobody for it. And if the number don't make you sweat a little bit, it's too small.
Make you nervous.
Make you nervous a little bit. You want to be checking to make sure that you put on your deodorant today, right? Am I sure? Am I sure?
Yes.
You need to feel a little nervous excitement about it to know that, okay, I'm now challenging, right? But if you can say the number real easy, you ain't asked for enough.
Exactly.
So we have this pay, we continue to have this pay gap because of the fact that a lot of times we're not asking for the right number and we're not negotiating for ourselves. So we need to understand what our worth is, or what our true worth is. What's the dollar amount that we garner on the marketplace? And I'm not talking about a range. When you go to the car dealership and they have a price on the car, they don't have a range on the car. They have a price on the car. Because if you give somebody a range, give me a range, I'm going to offer you the low end of the range. Who want to pay more for it when you tell me I can pay you X?
That's true.
Right? So we need to get clear on that. And so I think part of it is that we're working so hard to prove ourselves, hoping somebody recognizes and notices us, versus being strategic in taking on the work that we take on and being clear about how we market ourselves and speak about our accomplishments in a way that is powerful and confident. I did 28 projects this year. So what? And I'm not being disrespectful. 28 may be a lot, right? You want your boss to care. You want your senior executives to care. Quantify that in the language that they understand and that they care about. I have supported 28 projects that allowed this organization to reap the benefits of 38,000 in new revenue, or 38 million in new revenue. I'm like, 1,000, that's not enough. That's not enough. $30 million in new revenue, right? They care about revenue. They care about customer experience. They care about speed to that revenue. What are the things that you want, and how does it stack up, or what are the results or the outcomes that matter to them?
So with that being said, you have developed this amazing framework, which is called position to paid. So can you walk us a little bit through this process? Actually, you just did, but actually you just did walk us through how we can transform. But is there anything that you would like to add to it? Because I feel one of the problems too with this pay rate gap, if that's what we're saying, how we're going to phrase it for today, is as women, we are not comfortable speaking about money.
Very true.
And I feel that if we start getting used to being comfortable with speaking about money, and not just, oh, I got to pay this bill, or I got to do this, they'll talk about that all day long. But I'm talking about, like you said, the value, your worth, and being able to position it, like you said, position to pay, which you are an expert on. I feel we got to get used to speaking about big numbers. We have to get used to, like you said, sweating, getting nervous. Like you said, an amount that you're like, oh, wait, are they really gonna do that? Yeah, that's my worth. I want $50,000. I want $150,000. I want 1.5 million. This is the value that I'm bringing. We have to get used to that. So how do you help people with your framework of position to paid?
The first step is really getting clear, right? We need to have absolute clarity about where we are and where we're trying to go. Right? You don't get in your car taking a road trip not knowing where you headed. Otherwise, you just, it makes me think about that song, "You Got Me Going in Circles." Out here just driving around. So you got to be clear on where it is you're trying to go first. Then we can create a plan from there, right? Clarity. Once you get clear, then we can figure out how we need to position ourselves in order to achieve the destination. That's like putting the address in your GPS. That's the equivalent of putting your address in the GPS. So now we know where we're headed. And then it's really important on branding and visibility, right? So you can't brand a thing. You don't know how to set yourself apart or from anyone, either in the organization that you're in or out in the marketplace. You have to be clear on how am I unique amongst all the other people that do this thing, right? If I'm doing IT web design, what makes me unique as a web designer? What sets me apart from all the other web designers that's going to make people recognize me amongst the masses? How do I set myself apart? And then create visibility opportunities for yourself, right? If you are in corporate, take on those projects, raise your hand for those projects. And I'm not saying raise your hand for every project, but raise your hand, be strategic. Leaders are strategic about what they take on, but they also, part of that strategy is understanding how you will leverage that in your plan, right? So I'm not only going to take on this project because it's part of my strategy, but the other part of my strategy is, how am I going to leverage it? Who am I going to be talking to? What conversations am I going to be having? What data and metrics am I tracking that matter, that are also going to be things that are going to be part of my, my golden apples that I put over to the side. And when I talk about the beast that I am, I'm going to say, these are the things that I've done, my accomplishments that I've garnered, that executives and others in the ecosystem care about. Because then it's not just saying the number that you want, but it's having the receipts to back up the number you're asking for. But if you don't understand the impact that you have had to quantify the number you're asking for, you're lost.
Yeah.
So numbers matter. Numbers matter, and we have to get very comfortable talking about the numbers and tracking the right things, because sometimes we're tracking the wrong things. We're majoring in the minors.
That's true.
In the minors, right? So we need to surround ourselves. You talked about your circle, and it's really important that your circle is small and intimate, but they are people that are not only going to pour into you, but they're going to challenge you and hold you accountable to what you say you want and what you truly say you desire.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are not showing up for yourself, they're going to show up for you.
That's true.
They're going to dust you off and put you back in the game.
After they tell you off.
Give you a good old country spanking, okay? You're going to have a good old cry. They're going to give you a Kleenex.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go in there, shower, clean your face up, do your hair, and let's go back to work.
Exactly. And so you're really now speaking of the mindset that we need to have as leaders, the strategy that we need to have behind what we're doing, to understand our self-worth, to understand the value, to have the data. Mm-hmm. That I love to say data equals dollars. Okay. Once you understand what you're bringing to the table, you can put a number on it. And if you're a person that's saying, well, I don't know what that number is, you got Google. Research how much an average person with your expertise get paid for this XY job or whatever like that. Then based upon your uniqueness, what you bring to the table, add some more on there. Put some more zeros on there. And then now you got all these receipts. You got all these people that can speak of the value that you bring. You have if you corporate, you got all these projects up under your belt. How your voice actually helped push that project further than it could have been if you weren't with them. And then on an entrepreneurship scale, how many clients has you helped? How many people speak about your business? What have you done for them? What are the results of what you do? Are they better? Mm-hmm. Are they the same? And all of that, like you said, you can add on to your value and be able to get that solid number so that you won't be second guessing yourself. So with that being said, speaking about the mindset, what role do you think the emotional intelligence, or even because we hear a lot about neuroscience now, play in sustainable success and leadership when we having that emotional intelligence?
I think it's really important, and it's really starting with understanding yourself, right? If you can begin to understand others, if you can understand yourself. But it's something that you said I want to kind of jump back to really quickly, because I think that I see a lot of business owners that do this, right? They have had experiences and they've had successes before they became an entrepreneur that they almost tend to sever themselves from when they step into entrepreneurship, as if they've now a different person. Those are still your receipts. They are still part of the value that you bring now as an entrepreneur. Those, you don't leave those gems behind. Those are still part of your story and the value of your package. It just because you did it in corporate or in a job situation doesn't mean that it doesn't still add value as you are an entrepreneur today. I've had conversations with people who have been entrepreneurs now 10 years, but prior to being an entrepreneur for 10 years, they were doing similar work in a corporate setting for 15, but they never talked about the numbers and the outcomes and the receipts so technically they have 25 years of experience. 25 years of value that they've contributed to different people in their lives. And then it was that's when the light bulb, they were like, oh, so if I look at what I'm charging in my business based upon the totality of my experience, I really am undercharging. Yeah.
That part. So now you have taken us, Dana, to now we understand our worth. We now have identified our number. And we are confident that we're going to get but we're not going to leave ourselves out. We're going to have that joy. We're going to have that happiness. We're going to give ourselves that time. We're going to still do the other things, but we're going to make sure that we are not wearing burning the candle at both ends as a badge of honor because of the burnout, right? So once we get to this point and we have finally made a decision that this is what I'm not going to do, this is what I am going to do, because now I understand, now it's right in my face, I understand, I know what to do. How can high achieving professionals protect their energy without feeling guilty? Because at this point, you're going to do less because you understand your value, your worth, and what you need to do for yourself. So how do we leave the guilt behind?
It's a journey to leave the guilt behind, but I think that it's important to create a pipeline, right? You start as a leader, you are going to be strategic about what you do versus what you delegate to your team, right? And see it as an opportunity to grow and develop others. You're delegating, yes, it takes things off of your plate. It frees you up to really think about things more from a strategic level and things of that nature, or do the things that only you can do. But in doing that, you are now giving someone, you're giving, right? You're giving and enabling someone to grow a skill, to develop a skill that they wouldn't have had the opportunity to, because you've now delegated something to them. And you are, and I'm saying delegate, not dump, because the two are very different. Okay. You are delegating.
Let's elaborate on that, because I might be dumping.
So when you delegate to someone, you are giving them, a framework and guidelines, right? This is the thing I need you to do. This is the outcome we're trying to have with it. You're educating them. Now you're there as support. It's kind of like you helicopter momming a little bit, but you're there if they need you. They don't feel alone. Dumping is take care of this, and you don't give them no inputs, right? You just take care of it. And they're like, what am I? What is it? What's the intention?
I'm not dumping. I'm glad. Woo, I was nervous. I was nervous for a moment. I was nervous. I might be
because the goal of delegation is to set them up for success, right? And that they may come to you if they have questions. When they bring it back to you, also add a buffer in there, because you want to look at it before it's final. So add some buffer time in there so you can review it and give feedback so that they can make edits to it. And then it's final. And they're learning you're teaching, but they're learning, and you're enabling them to now do this thing, right? You're creating a pipeline of people that besides you, somebody else can do it. And they can do it the way in which you like it to be done, which gives you peace, it gives you comfort, and you can trust them with the thing. That helps you have less anxiety about it and less guilt about it, because then it frees you up and they feel more a part of it, like they have skin in the game and things of that nature.
That's great. So Dana, you coach both individuals and you have coached people from organizations. So what do companies get wrong when they're trying to address this burnout in the workplace? Or let's be honest, are they even addressing the elephant in the room with burnout? And if they are, what should they be doing instead?
Well, I'm going to say, I'm not going to lump them all together, right? Okay. But I'm going to talk about this at a higher level, right? I think that they're well-intentioned. So I always like to start with they start with good intention, right? But the way in which they go about it may not necessarily, you got to fail fast and figure it out, right? Just adding a yoga class in the middle of the day is not the answer to my burnout, or, meditation or whatever. And those things are good. So, I love yoga and I love meditation. So I'm not saying this to be negative in any way, but I do think on this side, post COVID, what burnout looks like is a little different, especially for those, I'm going to say, in the working class. And I'll say it that way, because if you think about it, there are a lot of businesses and services and programs that did not survive COVID, that moms and dads and those that are in the sandwich generation depended on pre-COVID. And now in this post-COVID era, where companies are really pushing for the return to office so that you can have that face-to-face, the interaction, and all of those things that help build culture and community and whatever. And some of the things that they're missing is the fact that mom and dad don't necessarily have this access to the same things that they did pre-COVID, right? And with what's happening in our government and trimming down the government, some of those programs that do exist today may not exist tomorrow on the other side of the changes that are happening. And that ensues a lot of stress for those of us in the working class who may not have access to the same level of capital that a senior executive would have. And so I do think that those things are not talked about enough. Those things are not really addressed. Those are to me, that's an elephant in the room, especially, I think about a lot of my friends that are the sandwich generation, where they do have young kids that are still in school and they have aging parents, and they are now taking care of both ends of that, and they are professionals or entrepreneurs. And it's a whole different dynamic on this side of the pandemic. And so I think, one, creating a safe space where employees can truly tell you what's really going on and what they really need, and being creative in the solution, right? Yes, you would like people to have 3 days in the office, but that may not necessarily be possible for everybody. Now, there will be some that will take advantage of the flexibility, but the vast majority won't. Right, the vast majority of people do have what good intentions and integrity. So you give people, I like to give my children enough rope till I have to yank it back. I think the same thing is true in the corporate environment, but I do think that a lot of the executives that are making the decisions don't have the same lived experience of the people that they are leading. And so therefore there's a disconnect in how they approach these things. And so I would say there's a missed opportunity there.
I agree. And with all your experience with how you help so many women step into being empowered with leadership, what's the one message you want to leave with the women today who are watching, who are going to be listening? Is they hear all this and they finally realize, oh my God, she's talking about me, and they're quietly suffering behind the scenes. What a bit of advice that you can give them today?
What I would say is, you are brilliant. You are fantastic. You are amazing. You do not have to burn yourself to a crisp to prove it.
That is so true. So I want to give you an opportunity to share with us anything else you would like to share, as well as any projects or how you want our people to connect with you.
Oh, absolutely. So if you want to find out more about me, the position to paid framework, you can definitely find me at danalcox.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Would love to connect with you. I have a few things that are coming up. I just left the 3V Women's Conference in Philadelphia, which was absolutely amazing. And I'm looking forward to them putting the next one up. Next, I will be in Atlanta at the end of the month for TSP Live. So if you are in the ATL area and you're going to be attending TSP Live, Traffic Sales and Profit Live, come by my booth. I do have a booth for fixed coaching, so I would love to see you there, meet you. And in September, I am speaking at the Small Business Owners Conference in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So those are a couple of things I have coming up, and I would love to connect with the CTR community at those events or online.
I absolutely love it. Make sure to stay connected with Dana, because she can actually help you be able to work through all the chaos and all the mess for you to change your mind, so that you won't be wearing this burnout or burning candle at the both ends as some kind of badge of honor. That is not something to be celebrated. It is something to change. It is something that you need to change. And so thank you so much for sharing all your tips and strategies, and also your position to paid framework, because at the end of the day, people who are unseen, people who are undervalued, they just want to be seen. They just want to be valued, whether they're a woman or not. And the strategies and what you're actually doing is actually helping those unseen. I like to say you are the voice for the voiceless. And now you're training them how to amplify their voice in corporate or entrepreneurship arena. And so making it very clear, making it very simple, and you make us smile at the same time, because we're talking about some deep stuff, but you made us smile. You made us smile. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to say?
No, I really appreciate the time with you today, Dr. Tina, and with the CTR family. I loved sharing this space with you and having this conversation.
I really thoroughly enjoyed it as well. So thank you again for being a featured guest on our show. Yes, you guys, this was the amazing Dana L. Cox, where she helped us from burnout to breakthrough, how women can reclaim, yes, I said it, power, purpose, and pay, honey. The 3 Ps. If you want to know more about her, which I know you do, go check her out on all the social media. You will see it in the description of this video. For those of you who will be in the Columbia, South Carolina area on October the 11th, we are having the Media and Wealth Summit in Columbia, South Carolina. We are going to be talking about everything media, everything that is wealth building from a personal and also a business level, where you'll be able to ask the experts questions that is burning inside of you. On this event, we want you to leave filled with things that you can execute, and you will have that. For those, so go ahead and get your tickets today by going to www.ctrmedianetwork.com. I would love to see you there, be able to hug your neck, shake your hand, however you like to be addressed, because I would love to help you guys in regards to TV, podcasting, and media, and also my amazing business partner, Michelle Green, and also our amazing keynotes and surprise panels that you're going to be able to experience while you're there at the event. So mark your calendars for October the 11th to come on down to South Carolina. Yes, for those of you who are watching us right now, you may be watching us on social media, maybe YouTube TV or whatever the case may be, but I want you to take it a step further. I want you to scan this QR code and download our CTR Media Network app today, because guess what? It's absolutely free. That is our way of giving back to you, making sure that you have access to quality content like the amazing Dana, who actually helped you break through all this struggle, honey, and get what you actually need. So make sure to download today, and not just watch CTR Media Network TV show, but watch the other 30 plus shows that are created by independent content creators to help you from everything from business to life to self-improvement and so much more. Thank you so much for being here on today. And I would like for you to come back same time, same place next week. Thank you for being a part of CTR Media Network TV. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Have you heard about Book Authority's best new podcasting book winner, which is Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, for her book, The Power of Podcasting, Unlocking Tips and Strategies for Podcasting Success. This book is your podcasting coach in a book. She is sharing so many strategies. This book reached #1 twice on Amazon for new release and best-selling book. So go ahead to ctrmedianetwork.com to purchase your copy today, or simply place your order on amazon.com today and unleash the power of podcasting. CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.